The Republic of Kenya is a country in the East Africa with a total area of 581,309 km square. Has a population about 44 million people. They won their independence from United Kingdom recently, just on December 12, 1963. Despite the steady growth of the economy in recent years, more than a half of the country population live below to the poverty line, on less than $1 a day, according to UNICEF 2013. It takes no compromising to give people their rights. It takes no money to respect the individual. It takes no survey to remove repressions. Harvey Milk. Homosexuality is the attraction to members of the same sex. It is a difficult topic in Kenya because they have their customs, tradition, and religion firmly rooted. Approximately 80% of the country's population follows Christianity and don't accept or respect new ways of life. This video argues that homosexuals should exercise human rights. It is important to consider all the humans equal, and the dignity and integrity of the people allows us to live in a free and fair society. The Kenyan Penal Code criminalizes homosexual behavior with up to 14 years imprisonment. Homophobia is a normal feeling there. Many guys and lesbians have to maintain their relationship and act in secret for not being discriminated, mistreated, or judged. The situation for the LGBT community is terrible. An example is the homosexual man who lost his life last May 2012 when he was found maintaining sexual relations with another man. Then he was stoned until death. Human rights are freedoms that we have the right to receive by our human condition in order to ensure a life of dignity. It doesn't matter your race, color, sex, religion, or ideology. At the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is stipulated on Article number 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Article number 3. Everyone has the right to live, liberty, and security of person. As it can be observed, in Kenya many human rights are broken, and the government is agree with that. Homosexuals are second-class citizens there, and the law is against them. Discrimination and hate are simply unacceptable conducts nowadays, that we have to change to live in a better world. We must recognize the others as being, that smile, cry and feel, living in the same environment. It is sad to think that the man take advantage to violate and respect others for not having the sanity to accept their difference and let them enjoy the love, one of the most beautiful things in life.
Africa is the continent with most cases of female genital mutilation. In countries like Kenya and Mali, this practice affects 44 to 29% of girls. Now we know that every 6 minutes a child is a victim of female genital mutilation. In addition to violating the rights of health, security, and physical integrity of women, the women are subject to be tortured and even they can take away the right to life. In most of these cases, this practice is against the wishes of girls. and it reflects a profound and sad inequality between sexes, and constitutes an extreme form of discrimination against women. In addition, is that most of these genital mutilation against women are made by people who has no knowledge of medicine or human anatomy, making an unsanitary and dangerous conditions for women. Another point that should be mentioned is that this practice is performed without anesthesia, so it causes too much pain. Girls bleeding when they remove their genitals. Therefore, chances for infection are incredibly high, and then, after the mayhem, there are problems at the support of childbirth. Still mention that these cause abdominal pains for life, and the risk of getting an hepatitis, AIDS, or another sexual sickness. The reason that the community gives to justify it is that they believe that genital mutilation can increase the fertility and makes delivery safe. Furthermore, they believe is that the religious respect.
Education has been formally recognized as human rights since the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
The right to education requires a commitment to ensuring universal access, but getting children into school is not enough. Here are some obligations to ensure the right access to education. Provide free and compulsory primary education. Provide education on the basis of equal opportunities. Ensure an inclusive education system at all levels.
The right to equality education. Develop children's personalities, talents, and mental and physical abilities to their fullest potential. Promote respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms and prepare children for a responsible life in a spirit of peace, tolerance, equality, and friendship. Promote respect for the child's, his or her parents and others, cultural identity, language, and values. Promote respect for the natural environment. Ensure the child's access to information from a diversity of sources. Ensure that the best interests of children have a primary consideration. Promote respect of the evolving capacities of children in the exercise of their rights. Respect the right of children to rest, leisure, play, recreation, and participation in arts and culture.
Learning is a lifelong process.
Hello, we are going to talk about the food in Kenya. Firstly, I want to give a little background about the location of Kenya. It's in Africa and borders with the Indian Ocean to the east, Somalia northwest, Ethiopia to the north, Uganda to the west, and Tanzania to the south. History and food. Traditional Kenyan foods reflect the many different lifestyles of the various groups in the country. Most Kenyan dishes are filling and inexpensive to make. Staple foods consist mainly of corn, potatoes, and beans, and meat are typically eaten inland, while the coastal peoples eat a more varied diet. Types of eating. Also, there is not a specific national cuisine. There are two national dishes, ugali and nyama. Maize, corn, is a Kenyan staple and the main ingredient of ugali, which is thick and similar to porridge. Ugali is usually eaten with meat, stews, or sukuma wiki, which literally translates to drench the weak. This means that the food is used to drench meals to last for the week. The traditional way of eating ugali is to pinch off a piece of the dog with the right hand and shape it into a scoop by pressing an indentation into the dog with the thumb. The ugali is used to scoop sauce or stew. Food for religion. About 65% of the population are Christian and 24% are Muslim. The rest practice traditional native beliefs. Christmas in Kenya is a time for social gatherings and food. Visitors will stop at the homes of friends and family. Food is served to everyone. Goat or beef is used for Nima Koma. Although goat is considered a greater delicacy, vegetables, fruit, and chapatis are often served with chutney. Malnutrition in Kenya. At the beginning of the 21st century, a prolonged drought was a major cause of malnutrition. The consequences: deficiency disease, especially with younger children, symptoms of fatigue and lethargy. In children, lack of protein results in poor growth. A protruding round stomach is a common and visible symptom of severe malnutrition. Skin rashes and hair loss are also common. About 41% of the population in Kenya is classified as undernourished by the World Bank. This means they do not receive adequate nutrition in their diet. Children under the age of 5, about 23% are underweight and over 34% are stunted. Common vegetables include kale, spinach, cabbage, tomatoes, beans, potatoes, avocados, and other leafy greens, while beef and goat meat are the common meats served in a Kenya meal. Fish, chicken, and mutton are available but are more expensive. Tropical fruits are mangoes, oranges, pineapples, bananas, and pears. Kenyan tea and coffee are often served with meals. Cold beverages like soda, juice, and domestic and international beers are also available in restaurants, hotels, pubs, and entertainment spots.
The destruction of aquatic ecosystem health and increasing water scarcity are, in my opinion, the most pressing environment problems facing humankind. Maud Barlow. Nowadays, we are in increasing demand of water. 85% of the world population lives in the driest half of the planet. 783 million people don't have access to clean water, and almost 2.5 billion don't have access to the sanitation in water. 6 to 8 million people die annually from the consequence of water diseases. About 66% of Africa is arid or semi-arid, and more than 300 of the 800 million people in sub-Saharan Africa live in a water sources environment. Did you know the average distance that women in Africa and Asia walk to collect water is 6 kilometers? At any one time, close to half of all people in developing countries are suffering from health problems caused by poor water and sanitation. Together, unclean water and poor sanitation is the world's second biggest killer of children. It has been calculated that 4,043 million school days are lost each year to water-related illness. Estimates from the Joint Monitoring Program of Water Supply and Sanitation (GMP) showed that in 2008, 59% of Kenyans had access to improved drinking water sources. 19% of Kenyans are reported as having access to piped water through a house or yard connection. According to the GMP estimates, access to improved water sources in urban areas decreased from 91% in 1990 to 83% in 2008. In rural areas, however, access increased from 32% to 52% during the same period. The poor, in particular women and girls, spend a significant amount of time fetching water in both areas and urban areas. For example, in 2007, Citizen Report Card survey showed that users of water kiosks in cities fetch water 4 to 6 times per day. In Kisumu, this meant that a poor household spent 112 minutes per day to fetch water at normal times, and as much as 200 minutes per day during time of scarcity.
Good morning. We are Dinora Martinez Gorbeña and me, Diana Laura Montoya Madrid. And today we will talk about a topic that have an important impact nowadays. Human rights in Kenya, gender inequality. Although it's experiencing a relatively stable political situation, poverty and traditionalism continue to represent two serious obstacles to the equal rights of women in Kenya.
The government, the legislation, and the media stimulate the women's rights, but her social status it is lower than the status of men.
Family and tradition. The women suffer legal discrimination because they can't receive inheritance. Also, a woman can't be the owner of a land or live in there without a man. Only the boys have the opportunity to go to school, and the women are obligated to stay in their houses.
Health. They have mediocre services. For decades, women seeking reproductive health services in Kenya have been suffering serious human rights violations, including physical and verbal abuse and detention in health facilities for inability to pay hospital fees.
Education. Looking at education, Kenya is faced with many gender and regional disparities. In a country filled with cultural norms, girls in many communities are still seen as homemakers who don't deserve to go to school. Massive poverty has also crippled many families' efforts to educate their children despite the introduction of free primary education. With the little resources that some families have, they prefer to send their boys to school since it is believed that they are future wealth sources to their parents than the girls, as they will go on to the breadwinners.
Bizarre rituals and traditions. Maasai tribes are famous for drinking animals' fresh blood, just like the Zulu tribes. Not only Maasai males undergo the circumcision rituals, also the females have to undergo these painful rituals by mutilating their genitalia. The Maasai warriors are trained to hunt lions by their hand using only a shield and spear.
Female genital mutilation. It's a procedure that involves partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organs for no medical reasons. 50% of the women suffer this procedure. There has been an international effort since the 70s to eradicate the practice, culminating in an unanimous vote in 2011 by the United Nations General Assembly to take all necessary steps to end it. It has been outlawed in most of the countries in which it occurs. but the laws are poorly enforced.
Social sensibilization. 70% of the analphabets in Kenya are women, and 75% of the farm workers are women. In Kenya exists a program, a non-governmental organization that deals with issues to do with women's rights and gender equality in Kenya that is called Maendeleo ya Wanawake. It was founded in 1952 and has approximately 600,000 groups contributing to a total membership of about 2 million women.
Violence against women. 1,329 cases of rape in 2010 were registered. The punishment doesn't exceed more than 30 years for the men. As we know, the law approves the woman rape, and also there exists a big percentage of child prostitution in Kenya.